All right, I will call two related Randall County cases for both set for final hearing. First case being called final hearing. Also, in that case, Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Jackson is with us representing Mr. Vasquez, the father. I don't show him. Mr. Jackson, were you expecting him?
No, I've had no contact with him, Mr. Vasquez.
All right, thank you. And then Mr. Pearl is with us representing the mother, Ms. Chavez, who is not with us. And I will note she's not been with us, I don't think, at any hearings. So, Mr. Pearl, were you expecting your client?
Yes, Your Honor. She's at Serenity House, and we expected her to be able to log on from that place.
You're welcome to try and call her. We've reset this case once already. And then I will also call on a final hearing. Again, Ms. Gutierrez for the department, Mr. Ingram with us for the child. Mr. Taylor is with us representing the father, Mr. Jones, who is with us. And again, Mr. Pirtle is with us for the mother, Ms. Chavez. We'll give Mr. Pirtle a few minutes to try and get a hold of his client. So I'll be back as soon as I see Mr. Pirtle rejoin.
I've been unable to get through to Serenity House. They're not answering their phone. In the past, they've answered their phone and they said that they would give her the information if they could, that they can't verify whether she's there or not according to policy. And I don't know if maybe she got out, and I don't know if she's there. I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Have you had any conversations with her?
Yes, Judge, I have. And she's been talking to me almost every day last week, telling me she's completed all of her classes, that she's been accepted to a halfway house, that she's been doing good on everything. It's been clean on all of her drug tests. She said that she's been accepted into a program called Mommy and Me, that she could be placed with her children and her for the halfway house. She said her caseworker told her that that was acceptable, that they're going to place the children with her and that everything's going fine. But then she's been having so much trouble trying to talk to her caseworker that I've been having to call the supervisor repeatedly to try to make sure that the caseworker calls her back, because she's been calling me frantically saying that she can't talk to CPS.
Did she explain to you why she's never attended a hearing other than the adversary hearing a year ago?
No, Judge, I didn't ask her that.
Okay. Well, I've noticed you filed this motion to extend the case. Are there any objections to that motion?
Yes, Your Honor. We emailed an objection over yesterday afternoon, as well as filed one first thing this morning.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Just give me the brunt of it.
Your Honor, our objection focused on Vanessa Chavez's unfortunate decisions regarding Matthew, as well as with Antonio. In 2018, she was charged and arrested for DWI with a child, and that child was Matthew. At that time, he was about 3. And then she was convicted of that and sentenced to TDCJ, I believe, for 12 months. Subsequently, a few months later, in February of 2019, an intake came into the department for alleged drug use. The case went to FBSS. The department tried to help her. She ended up going to jail, to TDCJ, starting a sentence there. And so that case ended. Then in January 2020, when Matthew was 4, the department received another intake alleging drug use of Ms. Chavez. And at that time, the department validated it for a reason to believe. Additionally, they opened up an FBSS case to try to help Ms. Chavez. That case was closed down due to Ms. Chavez's non-compliance. The department had to close that case, and the most they could do was to at least make sure that Matt was in a safe place. And so Movon at that time signed a non-parent relative caregiver form, allowing her mother to take the child. This intake was received 2.5 years later, and Matthew was 7 at that time. The reason for removal was Ms. Chavez's drug use. Antonio was born positive to both opiates and cocaine. And as well, there was domestic violence.
Let me interrupt you. Ms. Chavez just joined the waiting room. So, all right, for the record, Ms. Chavez has now joined us. I've read Mr. Pirtle's motion. I think I want to hear briefly just on his motion to extend. I want to hear briefly from someone from the department as to all these services that Mr. Pirtle has told us Ms. Chavez has worked. Every report I've read says she's done absolutely nothing in a year other than take a couple of drug tests until maybe going to Serenity right before a final hearing is set. So, Ms. Gutierrez, if you've got any, the last report I read said no services have been done.
Your Honor, I don't believe that the department has had contact with her. Kayla, have you had any conversations with Ms. Chavez regarding services completed?
So I was out all of last week for a conference. I do know Ms. Chavez did try to call me while I was out. I called Serenity on Friday, was unable to get through. I called this morning, and then this morning, whenever I was already logged in, I got a certificate of rehab completion from the courtesy worker. But that's all I have, Your Honor.
Well, all right. So the report I've read is inaccurate in that she has at least apparently gone through rehab.
Yes, Your Honor. However, she only entered that approximately 2 months or a month and a half before this final hearing. I think case law supports that last minute changes are not determinative and often not enough. Additionally, she completed rehab, Your Honor, but there is a whole slew of other services that she has not touched to address the reasons for her rehab, the reasons for her drug use, the removal, the domestic violence, the criminal activity that has extended back all the way to 2018, Your Honor.
Yeah.
And she has not attended hearings. She did not comply with court-ordered drug testing.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to weigh in on the motion for extension? Mr. Pearl, if you'd like to call her and put her under oath and have her testify under oath to all of these services she supposedly has completed, I'll let you do it to make your record.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Chavez, if you'd unmute, Mr. Pearl.
All right. Thank you, Judge. Go ahead and state your name and spell it for the court reporter, Ms. Chavez.
It's spelled out.
All right. I'll go ahead and proceed then, Judge. Ms. Chavez, have you completed your required services that CPS has asked of you?
Yes, sir.
What have you completed?
Parenting, I've completed the rehab, I've completed the 90 for 90, and I have been in MHMR, and I'm currently doing all of those right now.
And through MHMR, have you been prescribed any medications?
Yes, my antidepressant.
Okay. And are you taking that consistently?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you provided copies of your completion certificates to your caseworker?
Yes, sir.
And can you explain to the judge why you have not been participating in hearings in the past?
Yes, sir. I was not able to have a hold of phones or rights to access the meetings. And when I did call, they really didn't help me out. When I called my caseworker, she really didn't try to help me with any of my trying to help me make the meetings or get rides or do anything really.
Okay. Have you had difficulty in trying to contact your caseworker?
Yes, sir. A lot of difficulties.
Can you explain that to the judge?
Yes, sir. I've tried to contact her, to try to contact the supervisor, her supervisor, and none of them have answered. At one point, she had her phone off. And whenever I did contact her, she said she tried to contact me, but that she wasn't able to, but she was able to the first time to give me her number. So I know that she was able to, she just really didn't try, and she hasn't
Your Honor,
really tried.
I'm going to object to argumentative. She just stated she didn't think that my client tried to answer the phone or return a call.
I'll sustain the objection on speculation. She doesn't know what the caseworker was thinking. So go ahead.
Yeah, Ms. Chavez. So when you couldn't contact your caseworker, did you contact my office?
Yes, sir.
And did you ask for my office to contact your caseworker and the supervisor?
Yes, sir.
And what was the result from my office?
No answers.
Well, did I call you back? Or did I talk to you?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Okay. And so when you say no answers, do you mean that? I know there's a background noise here,
Yeah,
Judge.
let me ask, who's talking in the background?
It's just other people that are in the
Okay,
office using computers.
excuse me. Tell them we're in the middle of a court proceeding and they need to be quiet.
Yes, sir. Miss Laura, they said that the judge said that if they could be quiet. Miss Laura?
Huh?
The judge is saying that there's too much noise because they're in court right now.
Okay, guys, can we please?
Yes, sir.
Go
All
ahead.
right, thank you, Ms. Chavez. Was your answer that I wasn't answering the phone, or was your answer that CPS is not answering for me?
That CPS is not answering from you.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to speculation again.
Overrule.
Okay, and so obviously my office has had difficulty trying to contact your caseworker and your supervisor also, right?
Yes, sir.
And what was your purpose in trying to contact your caseworker before this hearing?
To contact the supervisor to let her know that the caseworker isn't doing her job and that her
Well, other
goals.
than that, did you want to give your caseworker your certificates of completion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you do that? Did you give her those certificates of completion?
I faxed them over to her and to the new caseworker that's involved in this state, in this county.
Okay, and were you able to get me copies of those certificates?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you asking today to extend this hearing so you can finish your halfway house and do the rest of your services?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have you been accepted into the Mommy and Me program?
Yes, sir.
And do you expect to be able to keep your children there with you in the Mommy and Me program?
Yes, sir.
Ask
more.
that, excuse me. Ask that woman to be quiet again.
Ma'am,
Why don't you-
if we could be
Ms.
quiet.
Chavez,
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Chavez, whoever that's talking, put her in front of the camera.
Miss Laura, they want to see who's talking, the judge, because he's getting kind of.
We can't do that.
Okay.
Hello?
Ma'am, we're in the middle of a court proceeding
Yeah.
and you're interrupting that court proceeding by continuing to talk. We can't hear her testimony because of you. I need you to be quiet until this hearing is over.
Okay, I'm sorry. We just have clients here and I'm trying to keep the noise level down. This is the
Well,
only
you're-
place we have for her.
You're not keeping the noise level down. I'll tell you that. So I need you to be quiet, please.
Okay, thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Bertle.
All right, thank you, Judge. So Ms. Chavez, do you expect to be able to keep your children together with you at the Mommy and Me program?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why do you expect that?
Because I've always been there for my first son. I have not been able to make a right connection with my newborn, which is already a year old. And my whole life has been dedicated to being a mother. And other than that, my life's not complete.
How can you guarantee this court that you're going to remain drug-free and away from domestic violence in the future if we extend this case and you complete your services?
By changing my people, places, or things, starting a new life over here in Abilene, Texas, stay connected with my support group, maintain NA and AA meetings, and just complete my sober living halfway house.
Okay. Do you have a support group for you and your children?
Yes, sir. My family is very supportive and I'm getting a job. I've already applied at Ulta and at a country club restaurant, which should be more than enough for me to help with or maintain my kids.
So you expect to have stable employment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to tell the judge as we proceed?
I have taken a lot of this for granted, but I am a different person now. My disease was my addiction was a disease, and I came to realize that my life is not over. This is just the beginning, and I refuse to give up for my kids.
I pass the witness.
Ms. Gutierrez, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Chavez, you admit that you took this case for granted. Is that correct?
I took my kids for granted.
Okay. And you understand, or rather, let me ask a different question. When did you go into rehab?
The 26th of July.
What were the circumstances that led you to go to rehab? And by that, I mean, how did you actually get there?
I was trying to get in contact with my caseworker, and which is Lisa, and she does not help me at all. She was offering my parents adoption, and
Your Honor, I'm going to object to non-responsive.
Sustained.
And
In the month of, that means you can't answer the question, Ms. Chavez. Or you can't answer it, but you have to answer the question and not give some answer that's about something else. Now, Ms. Chavez, did you see Lisa Godsey in July of 2023?
yes,
And where were you living at that time?
I was removing myself from a location and I was at a hotel to fly off to rehab.
So you saw Lisa while you were at a hotel?
Yes, ma'am, because I was off asking for help and she just showed up and left.
So Lisa, your testimony is that Lisa did nothing to help you get to rehab. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how did you actually get to rehab?
My older sister had told me about this amazing place and how much it helped her. And I went myself to do the interview and came alone.
When was the last time you used drugs?
The last time, I believe that before I flew in, I'm not sure what date.
I don't know the date that you flew in. So what month and year did you last use drugs?
I 07, 10, 23.
So for the first 10 months of the case, you continued using drugs. What drug were you using?
No, ma'am, I did not continue to use drugs
What
throughout
what was it
until
like?
that
What was the last drug that you used?
marijuana.
Have you ever used cocaine?
In the past, I have.
When was the last time you used cocaine?
I don't remember. I really didn't keep track on the dates of that.
When was the last time you saw Jacob Vasquez?
07, 03, 23 or 20. Yeah, 23.
Do you have a vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what was the problem with you getting to your services?
My transmission started messing up.
Was it still drivable?
No, ma'am.
When did it stop being drivable?
June 20th or what? No. Around June 5th.
Would you agree that's about 9 months into the case?
Yes, ma'am.
So the first 9 months of the case, you had a vehicle that worked and you used it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the vehicle you were driving or that Jacob was driving when you were arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
Possession of controlled substance?
Yes, ma'am.
So you managed to use that vehicle to commit criminal activity, but not to go to your services. Is that correct?
I was going to my services.
It's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Jackson, any questions?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Ma'am, do you know, can you tell me where Jacob Vasquez is located?
No, sir. I'm no longer in contact with him as I've changed my people, places, and things to maintain and start a new life.
When was the last time you spoke with Mr. Vasquez?
He had contacted me through messages yesterday, but I did not respond.
Okay, do you have any contact information through those messages for him?
No, sir.
Yeah, that's the witness.
All right, Mr. Taylor, any questions?
Yes, Sean, just a couple. So, Ms. Chavez, have you struggled off and on with a drug addiction?
I have in the past, yes, sir.
Has that caused you difficulty with your service plan?
Yes, sir.
Are you now Matthew, your son Matthew is 8 years old now.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like he is pretty bonded to you?
Yes, sir.
You feel like it would be detrimental to him to no longer have any contact with you?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that if you were allowed to finish your service plan, you could hopefully stay off of your drugs and actually make a life for you and your children?
Yes, sir. I believe that full-heartedly.
You haven't been able to in the past, so what's different now?
I was maintaining pretty well with my son in my life. I got very depressed and have gone through postpartum depression after my second son was born. And I've never looked at it as a disease, and now going through treatment, like actual treatment with me willing to go and wanting to go to change, has had a complete different impact in my life. And I am a completely different person than who I was when I was on drugs.
The drug rehab you just finished, is that the only time you've ever been to a drug rehab?
Willingly, yes, sir. Or wanting to, yes.
And is it the only one you've ever completed successfully?
I've completed some like ISF treatment. I've completed, when I was younger, a Phoenix House when I was in juvenile. I've done Teen Challenge when I was a juvenile. I completed and graduated from there. Those are some of the ones that I have completed.
So you're saying the difference this time is that you went on your own and you wanted to?
Yes, sir.
Not best what you're showing.
Mr. Ingram, questions?
No questions.
All right, anything further of this witness from anybody?
I have follow-up questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Chavez, you mentioned that you had made calls to Lisa Gotzi. When were those calls made?
They were made, I made probably several calls within every day of the week, and to you. I got sent straight to voicemail when I tried calling you.
I'm sorry, you called me here at the
Yes.
district attorney's office?
I called your number that Lisa Gotzi had provided.
Lisa Gotzi would not have provided my phone number.
Well, she did. I have it right here.
Cody, is there something you want to check in with your client about? Do you think I'm the supervisor? Because I'm not, I'm the attorney.
Oh, Well,
What, do you know the full name of the person she gave you the number to?
Tina Martinez.
No, that's not who you're talking to now. You're
Oh.
talking to the CPS attorney. Her name's Teresa
Oh.
Gutierrez. It should be on your computer screen.
Oh, yes, I see it now. I was trying to contact, I asked Lisa if I could get any number to contact anybody that would be able to give me a different caseworker. And the only number she provided was this. And then after that, she never answered my calls.
When did you start this series of calls to Lisa Gotzi?
For beginning in June, whenever I was trying to get into treatment and let her know to start helping me out, and she just kind of avoided my calls.
So you were court ordered to drug screen on June 5th of 2023, and you did not complete that drug screen. So if at the beginning of June, if you were trying to complete services, why did you not complete that drug screen?
Remember my car broke down that day?
No, I
June
don't.
5th, when you
So
said,
hold on, you remember the exact day that your car broke down, but not the last time you used cocaine.
yes, ma'am.
How very convenient.
Objection, Your Honor, to that sidebar comment.
Just saying.
Now, you've actually spent time in TDCJ, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
2 years ago.
And were you sober when you came out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you relapsed after that, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned that you went to your own rehab again after that, or was that before?
No, that was after that, this one that I'm at.
Okay, so you mentioned Phoenix House, was that?
As a juvenile.
Okay, and did you relapse after that?
As a juvenile, yes, ma'am.
And have you ever been involved in drug court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you relapse after that?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody told you that when they're calling Serenity House or the rehab that you're at, they're not able to get through?
They told me that they have not got a call, that they have phones and that nobody tried to call.
So if your attorney had trouble getting through to you this morning at Serenity, then that wouldn't be true?
Well, just that's what I heard.
And if Lisa had trouble getting through to you at Serenity, you wouldn't know that either, because you didn't know your attorney had trouble getting through to you, did you?
Lisa has got a hold of me. She called up here to leave a message to call her and gave them my number, and I was able to call her. So she has sent messages through them to get to me.
So she is returning your calls, and you did talk to her then, yes?
Just before she stopped answering.
Pass the witness.
Anyone else? Does someone have Ms. Chavez's service plan? I don't have it available to me.
Your Honor, it is attached to the status hearing orders that are exhibits 9 and 10.
Right, I don't have those in front of me. Just, can somebody pull up her service plan? I want them just to go one by one, and I want to hear her answers as to whether she's completed it or not.
Cody, do you want to do that, or do you want me to take her through it?
Teresa, I'd like for you to do that. My file's not necessarily in order right now.
Your Honor, I asked the court to take judicial notice of the status hearing orders in both cases.
I will, but I don't have them in front of me. That's what I'm trying to get to. If someone will pull up her service plan and just read one at a time, and I'm going to have her answer whether or not she's completed it or not.
Yes, Your Honor, I did that for purposes of the record. Let me see here. All right, Ms. Chavez, you were ordered.
I'll ask the questions. Just list the services one at a time.
Okay. Provide information to St. Francis Ministries within 5 days of any changes of residence, phone number, or employment.
Did you let them know 5 days before you went into your current rehab, Ms. Chavez?
Yes, sir.
All right, next service.
Visit Matthew for 1 hour per week.
Okay, we know about that. She didn't get visitation because she didn't drug screen. So next service.
Visit Antonio.
Okay, same answer there. So go ahead, next one.
Comply with each requirement of the original family plan of service.
Okay, have you done everything that was in your service plan, Ms. Chavez?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next one.
Maintain regular contact with her permanency specialist.
Have you maintained regular contact for the year prior to today with the department or St. Francis?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Locate and maintain stable housing with working utilities free from drugs and violence.
we know you're not free from drugs for the past year. Have you had a stable house in the
Yes,
past
sir.
year? You just talked about you left from a motel to go to rehab. Do you consider a motel a stable house?
No, sir.
So you haven't had a stable house for the past year.
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Gutierrez?
Maintain stable and appropriate employment that provides a stable source of legal income.
Have you had a job in the past year?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Gutierrez?
Attend AA, NA, or celebrate recovery twice weekly.
Have you been doing AA or NA twice weekly for the past year?
Yes, sir.
You have logs?
Yes, sir. With my parole officer has logs, and I have some like sheets that I've had signed.
You found them, or I didn't hear you.
No,
You found them?
I don't have them, but I had made file of them somewhere in my paperwork. But my parole officer has my that I've been attending those.
And you've been doing that for the past year?
Yes, sir.
Have you been providing any proof of that to St. Francis or the department?
Whatever they've asked,
That's not the question. Answer my question. Have you given copies of those logs to either St. Francis or the department for the past year?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Gutierrez, the next one.
Maintain a drug-free lifestyle and abstain from use of illegal drugs.
Okay. And I think you testified. Tell me if I'm wrong, Ms. Chavez. You last used in June or July of this year?
Yes, sir.
So you've not been drug-free for a year, have you?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Gutierrez.
Attend individual counseling with Recovery.
Okay. Have you done counseling with Recovery as part of your plan?
Not until now.
What do you mean now?
There's counseling here. Like I see a counselor here.
But you're not at Recovery, are you?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Ms. Gutierrez, next one.
Complete a psychosocial evaluation.
Did you do a psychosocial, Ms. Chavez?
Yes, sir.
Who was that with and when?
TPC. And I believe it was around. It was the month after my son was born.
Matthew? I'm sorry, Antonio?
Antonio, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, next one.
Complete rational behavior therapy.
Did you do rational behavior therapy?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Gutierrez?
And that was the last service, Your Honor.
Okay. She talked about doing parenting. I can't imagine she did something that she didn't have to do on her service plan. Was parenting not part of her plan?
Let me go back, Your Honor, and take a look.
Okay.
I'm sure it was. Let's see here. It also said she's supposed to sign releases. I don't know if St. Francis ever requested her to do that, though, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, here it is. She's required to take a parenting class.
Did you complete a parenting class, Ms. Chavez?
Yes, sir.
With who'd you do that with?
Through Serenity.
Just in this past month?
Yes, sir.
And you've completed the parenting?
Yes, sir.
Do you get a certificate when you complete it?
Yes, sir. I have my certificates.
And
Are
you're,
you providing those to the Department or St. Francis?
Yes, sir. I faxed or emailed them over and faxed them over.
Okay. Did you find any other services, Ms. Gutierrez?
no, I did not, Your Honor. I think Kayla did say that she received something recently that was the parenting certificate.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think I've heard all I need to. I don't want to try this case twice, and that's where we're headed from what I've heard today. I wanted Ms. Chavez to tell me all the services she says she's completed. And that will give, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to extend this case and I'm going to reset it for October 30th. And that will give Ms. Chavez time to show me what she's doing now, not just what she's done in the last 30 days. And it'll give the department and any of the other lawyers that want to a chance to see whether or not Ms. Chavez has been truthful today about what she says she's completed. Ms. Chavez, I hope you have been honest today, because if you are under oath and not telling the truth, that has some serious consequences. And I will do my best to see that those consequences come about if you've lied to us today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Where are you located physically? What city are you in?
Abilene, Texas.
Abilene?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Martinez or anyone else, I'm sure we have a testing facility for drug tests in Abilene.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can somebody find that? Because I want to give her the address and phone number today. And I'm going to order, Ms. Chavez, I'm getting ready to order that you both hair strand and you a drug screen by 4 p.m. today.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't, I'm probably going to move that October 30th final hearing date up to probably a week or two from now.
Yes, sir.
All right. I know this may take
I
a
have a
minute.
phone
Ms.
number.
Martinez,
I've left
that's
her
fine. We got
messages
2
and she
hours
hasn't
here.
called me back. She has voicemail.
Okay.
I can only assume she knows of this hearing and she's going to be here today.
Okay. Well, she's not been here in the past, so I don't share your anticipation. She made the adversary hearing and she's missed every hearing since
Ms.
then.
Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Boron, who do you work for?
The Emerald Police Department.
And what do you do for them?
I'm a police officer.
And are you a certified police officer?
Yes, I am.
And what special education and training did that take?
The completion of the Emerald Police Academy and an FEO program.
Okay. And on March 12th of 2021, did you arrest Kylie Tipton?
Yes.
Can you give us some details? What was the intake on that day? Okay. And when you arrived at the scene, was the vehicle parked?
Yes, it was. It was parked in the driveway.
And did you run any search on the vehicle to find out who the owner was?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was that owner Kylie Tipton?
I don't know if the owner was, I don't know. I don't recall if the vehicle was registered to Kylie Tipton or not. I'd have to refer to my report.
Okay. And you said the car was parked when you arrived. Was that at a residence?
Yes, it was.
And when you knocked on the door, who answered?
I didn't knock on the door, ma'am.
Okay. So did you have an interaction with Kylie Tipton there at that residence?
I did.
And what did she state?
Well, I mean, when I first got there, I was investigating a DUI, so I spoke with the witnesses to find out who was driving this vehicle. She came outside at one point and I asked her if she would speak to me about what was going on. So I don't know specifically what question you're asking me. I can kind of go through what happened, but
Okay.
she didn't come out and start talking to me. I called her to me.
Okay. And when you called her to you, what was that conversation?
Just verbatim, but I mean, it was just, I established that she was driving this vehicle, what had happened, her tires, both the front and rear driver's or passenger side tires were blown out, and just started a DUI investigation at that point.
Okay.
She told me she had been at the pub called Pub 26, which is the old Duke Tracy's. She said she was the only one driving, or she said she was driving the vehicle. So, I mean, at that point, I had reason to believe that she was with the driver of a vehicle and she was intoxicated. So, and she agreed, she consented to do field sobriety test for me and took it from there.
Okay. Was she slurring her words when she spoke with you?
She was mumbling. She was difficult to understand.
Okay. Now, did you arrest her that day for DWI?
Yes, I did.
Now, you've been presented with exhibits 18 through 23. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's take a picture of exhibit 18.
Okay, so that's the rear of the GMC Yukon that shows the license plate and damage to the rear of the vehicle.
And is this the vehicle you saw that day parked?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is this a true and correct replica of what you saw that day?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then what is petitioner's exhibit 19?
This is the front of that same vehicle.
Okay.
There's some damage to the front passenger quarter panel, the bumper.
And is that a true and correct depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes.
And let's look at petitioner's exhibit 20.
Same vehicle. It shows the front passenger tire with the tire destroyed, just so that it shows that the vehicle was being driven on the rim.
Okay. And is petitioner's exhibit 21 a close-up of that particular area?
No, it's more of an overall, the side of the vehicle.
Petitioner's 21?
That's the close-up.
Okay.
21.
So is petitioners 20 and 21, are those correct and accurate depictions of what you saw that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And petitioners 22?
This is just the same vehicle, just taken from the rear of the passenger, just to show the rear passenger wheel also destroyed, as well as the front passenger wheel destroyed.
Okay. And what is petitioners 23?
That would be a close-up of the rear passenger wheel.
And are both exhibits 22 and 23 an accurate and correct depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the department offers petitioners exhibits 18 through 23 as evidence.
Okay, petitioners 18 through 23 are admitted.
Additionally, the department offers petitioners exhibit 4, which is a certified copy of the criminal complaint against Kylie Tipton for DWI.
24 is admitted.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pearl, any questions?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Barfield, questions?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
All right, anything further of this witness, Ms. Gutierrez?
No, Your Honor, and we ask that he be released. Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Haley McFarland as its next witness.
All right.
Did you have a home in which Kylie Tipton was living?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. McFarland, what is your role there?
I'm the property manager.
Okay. And as a property manager, do you go out and inspect homes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that include making sure that the homes are being cared for by the tenants that are living in them?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have a home in August of 2022 that had residing in it Kylie Tipton?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, also residing in it, were those her 3 children, Aiden, Addison, and Ashton?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there anybody else residing in that home?
Not technically on the lease, but when I inspected it, there was a gentleman there. I just don't remember his name.
Okay. Now, did you inspect the home on August 28th of 2022?
I believe so.
And did you also take photographs of that home inspection?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, are those exhibits, except for exhibit 15, photographs that you took on August 28th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go ahead and walk through those photographs.
Okay.
What is photograph number 1, or petitioner's exhibit number 1, rather?
This was the back porch in the backyard.
Okay. And are those beer bottles and beer cans thrown about the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that look like a pile of clothes and clutter and debris?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what this area looked like of Kylie Tipton's home on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go to petitioner's exhibit number 2. What is this a depiction of?
This was in the garage and it was fecal matter stuck to the floor.
Okay. Now, before you entered the home, was there any sort of smell?
There was a faint smell from the door. It just kind of smelled like urine and it just smelled kind of rotten, but it was from the front door, yes.
Okay. Let's move on to petitioner's exhibit number 3. What is this a depiction of?
This is the other side of the garage.
Okay. And is this also a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes.
Now, on the flooring here close to the bottom, is that fecal matter as well?
Yes, and urine.
Okay. Let's move on to petitioner's exhibit 4. What is this a picture of?
This was also the garage floor.
Is this fecal matter again?
Yes, on the clothes.
Okay. Petitioner's exhibit 5. What is this a picture of?
This is also in the garage.
Okay. Now, in this picture in particular, do you see anything belonging to children lying around?
Yes, there were toys and clothes.
Okay. Let's take a look at petitioner's exhibit number 6. Is this another angle of that garage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And does that continue to be on the floor fecal matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, was it possible to walk through this garage without stepping on something?
There were very few blank spots, but if there wasn't something on the floor, there was urine or feces in the way.
Okay. Let's switch to petitioner's exhibit number 7.
This was the stairwell inside the home with fecal matter spread on the wall.
Let's go now to petitioner's exhibit number 8. What is this a picture of?
This was the upstairs bathroom.
Okay. And inside the tub, what did you see?
There was fecal matter in the tub.
Okay.
As well as bugs.
Now, in the lower right-hand corner, is that a lamp with a cord to plug in somewhere?
Yes. I'm not sure if it was plugged in, but yes, it is.
Okay.
This was the sink right next to the bathtub we just saw.
Okay. And in the upper right-hand corner, are those beer bottles?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second.
What I can best describe as a bucket of fecal matter.
Okay. Now, was there a smell in the home while you were there?
Yes, it was a very strong smell of urine and feces and possibly rotted food. It was all kind of mixing together, but urine was probably the biggest noticeable scent.
Okay. Let's go on to petitioner's exhibit number 11. Are there beer bottles? Is there one beer bottle on that counter?
Yes.
Okay. And would you agree that that is a very cluttered, disheveled area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that a bookcase or some kind of desk?
I believe it was a desk.
Let's move on to petitioner's exhibit number 12. What is this a picture of?
This was a faux fireplace in Kylie's room upstairs.
Okay. And are there beer bottles on top?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there beer cans on top as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in these beer bottles that say Dos Equis, did those have liquid in them still?
A few of them did, just, like the last swig of the bottle, a few of them had that.
Okay. And petitioner's exhibit number 13, what is this a picture of?
This was the gentleman that was in the house that I don't remember his name, and then an unauthorized pet in Kylie's bedroom.
And petitioner's number 14, what is this a picture of?
Again, the unauthorized pet in Kylie's bedroom upstairs.
Now, for pictures 1 through 14, are these fair and accurate depictions of what you saw in Kylie Tipton's home that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the department offers petitioners exhibits 1 through 14 at this time as evidence.
All right, objections?
No objection.
All right, petitioners 8 through 14 are
Ms.
admitted.
Tipton, I'm sorry, Ms. McFarland, you also provided a photograph to us labeled as petitioner's exhibit number 15. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, this photograph was taken after the family moved out. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it immediately after their move out?
This was during the writ of possession after eviction.
Okay. Can you tell me what that is a picture of?
This was a closet under the inside stairwell with what looked like bean bags, fecal matter, and urine throughout.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate description of what you saw that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Your Honor, the department offers petitioner's exhibit number 15 as evidence.
Petitioners 15 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. McFarland, you mentioned an eviction process while we were going through these photographs. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Was Ms. Tipton evicted from that home?
Yes, she was evicted from the home due to non-payment of rent. I don't have all the dates in front of me, but we did go through the entire eviction process with the courts. It was awarded, and we had to complete the writ of possession as well.
Okay. Now, going back to August 28th of 2022, when you got to the home, who greeted you at the door?
It was her youngest child and it was the two boys. I don't know the ages, but it was the two boys who initially opened the front door.
And what were they wearing?
The youngest child was wearing nothing. He was absolutely naked. And then the other young boy was only in his underwear.
Okay. And when you entered the home, is that when you started taking all of the pictures?
Yes, I entered the home and announced myself. A couple of times the gentleman came down the stairs, and that's when we began the inspection of the home.
Okay. Now, did any of the bottles that were lying on the ground, the beer bottles lying on the ground, did any of them still have liquid in them?
On the ground, I don't believe so, but it was the ones that were on different counters and shelves everywhere.
Okay. Were the children tall enough to reach those?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Pearl,
No questions.
Mr. Barfield,
No question.
Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right, anything further, Ms. McFarland, Ms. Gutierrez?
No, Your Honor, would we ask that she be released? Lucas Koss?
Okay.
Lucas, who do you work for?
I work as an investigator for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
Okay. And in August of 2022, were you working at that same role?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you receive an intake on Kylie Tipton on August 24th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time of the intake, who was believed to be their father?
Their father was Benjamin Lewis. Apologies.
Okay. Now, what were those allegations in the August 24th, 2022 intake?
So on the August 24th, 2022 intake, there were concerns that the children had been missing school. There's also concerns that Allison had mentioned that she had not eaten anything in a few days and that there wasn't any food at home, but they had chicken nuggets. Also noted was that Addison had bug bites. and that on her arms and legs that are noticeable. It was also noted that Ms. Tipton also had the same bites. There was also concerns about Aiden, even though he'd only been at school for 2 days. He had not looked like he had been bathed or changed, and he did have a smell or odor to him. There were also concerns that the family was going to be evicted, and then they had approximately 15 days to vacate.
Now, does one of the children have an autism diagnosis?
So, from my understanding, Aiden was the one that had been diagnosed with autism at the time of the intake.
Alrighty. And then on August 28th of 2022, the department received another intake. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were the intake allegations in this intake?
The allegations in the August 28th, 2022 intake were that Aiden and Ashton were answering the front door while Mr. King, who was allegedly Miss Tipton's brother, and mother, Miss Tipton, slept. Aiden was in his underwear and Ashton was completely naked. After approximately 15 minutes, Mr. King woke up and stated that Miss Tipton was asleep and that he was unable to wake her up. And there were also concerns there were beer bottles throughout the home. Some were not completely empty, bottles of medication around the home, as well as trash throughout the home. There's also noted that the bathtub had what appeared to be human feces in it, and that they had not had time to clean it.
Okay. Now, what was your understanding of who lived in the home at the time of the intakes with Ms. Tipton?
I understood that it was Ms. Tipton, Mr. King, and her 3 children, Aiden, Addison, and Ashton.
Okay, so Benjamin Lewis was not a part of the household at that time. Is that correct?
From my understanding, no, he was not a part of that household at that time.
Okay. Now, did you interview the children?
Yes, I interviewed Addison and Aiden.
Okay. Did you interview Addison on August 25th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did she make any outcries regarding the home?
She said that she hadn't eaten for a couple of days, but their mom had just gotten food. She also said that there were bug bites on her arm. And then she also stated that her mom does drink a lot, and that she said that her mom drinks 4s, which she stated was gross. I asked how she knew that. She said that her mom always throws up after drinking them.
Okay. Now,
Sorry, what is the thing you said she was drinking?
A 4, as the child stated. The child just called it a 4.
Okay.
Now, Lucas, is that a 4 like the number 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that like a type of drink, alcoholic drink?
From my understanding, she didn't know what it was, but she would say that mom would drink it a lot. For my personal, I know that 4 Locos or something, so the child may have been referencing that, but I'm not 100% because the child wasn't 100% sure as to what it was. She just knows that mom throws up after she drinks it.
Okay. Did Addison also discuss an argument between her mom and her grandmother?
Yes. She said that during an argument between her mom and her grandmother, that mom was drunk. And then she stated that her mom was always drunk.
Now, at the end of the interview, did you ask her what are her wishes?
Yeah, she wished that they would have enough money for a new house, and that she wished that her mom wouldn't drink anymore.
Okay. Now, on that same day, did you make attempts to meet with Kylie Tipton?
I did. The address that I had, the home appeared to be empty. And I spoke with a neighbor across the street who had told me that the family had moved out approximately 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Okay. And following that, did you attempt to contact Benjamin Lewis on August 26th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he respond?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. Then on August 26th, 2022, you received a call from Kylie Tipton. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was her demeanor like?
She didn't really want to meet in person. All she wanted to discuss was how the previous intake regarding Aiden and his school. And she wouldn't elaborate on any information that she gave me, or that the principal had told her. She said that she had mental health issues that doesn't allow her to leave the home, but she did eventually agree to be with me the following morning so that I could see one of the children.
Okay. And what day did you meet with her?
I believe I met on August 27th, 2022.
Okay. How did, were any of the children present?
Yes, I believe I saw Ashton that day.
Okay. And what was Kylie's, was Kylie cooperative during this conversation?
Fairly cooperative. She continued to talk about the intake against the school. She also stated that she did not want to talk about the specific allegations against her without obtaining a lawyer, an attorney first.
Okay. Did Kylie ever fully explain what these allegations against the school were?
Not to my knowledge. It was a lot about that she was just that I think she did state that Aiden had bruising on his hips or stomach, like if someone was pulling his pants, things along that nature. But she also stated that she had contacted a lawyer about that investigation, but hadn't heard back.
And whatever that investigation, if it indeed existed or occurred, was separate from the department's investigation for the child neglect and abuse. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, in that conversation, what did you observe about Kylie and bug bites?
Oh, it appeared that she had several bug bites on her arms and face, and then she continued to pick at her face during our conversation.
Okay.
She also said, that her bug bites had gotten infected, which is the reasoning for them being so inflamed.
Okay. Did she discuss a possible divorce from Benjamin Lewis?
Yes, she did.
And did she discuss problems with Aiden?
Yes, she said that Aiden wasn't wanting to go to school and she didn't know why. She got it clear by the doctor and that he wasn't sick. It just appeared that he just didn't want to go to school. His uncle, I believe Mr. King, took him to school and Aiden didn't want to get out of the car. And then two teachers came out to help Aiden and try and get him in, but he wouldn't look at them. And it was always asking to go home.
Okay. Now, did she state that Aiden was diagnosed with autism when he was 18 months old?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she state that Ashton was diagnosed with autism when he was 1 year old?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Now, following that, on August 29th, 2022, you had a conversation with Haley McFarland. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did she confirm the intake allegations in the second intake?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Did you meet with Kylie Tipton again on August 29th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what was her demeanor like?
I met with her along with Ms. McFarland to try and see the home. Ms. Tipton appeared to be very agitated that we were at the home. And she would let me see the children. She wouldn't let us see the children at first. I ended up calling a welfare check to the Amarillo Police Department just to check on the children's well-being. Once law enforcement arrived, Ms. Tipton did allow me to see the children.
Okay. What was your impression of Ms. Tipton's status of sobriety during that encounter?
I was not sure if she was sober at that time, but I was unsure of what she was under the influence of, whether that was drugs or alcohol.
Okay. And did you again attempt to contact Kylie Tipton on August 30th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she agree to meet with you?
She said that she was sick and that she would let me know when she was feeling better so we could schedule a time for an interview.
Okay. And did you make another attempt on September 6th of 2022 to contact Ms. Tipton?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any answer?
No, I don't believe she ever responded on that day.
Okay. And on September 12th, 2022, did your then supervisor, Charles Daniel MacArthur, attempt to contact Kylie?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any response?
I believe he did not get a response that day.
Okay. On September 12th, 2022, did you again attempt to contact Benjamin Lewis?
Yes, ma'am. I believe I did.
What did he state about the allegations?
He stated that he hadn't been in contact with Ms. Tipton recently. They generally only interact via text messages, but he does provide support to them. We discussed the possible feces in the bathroom. He stated that Aiden does do that. He felt that it was possibly a comfort thing for Aiden, but he also felt that the feces should not be left in the bathtub if Aiden were to utilize the bathroom in that way.
And did you talk to him about potentially taking custody of the children and to avoid removal.
Yes, ma'am, I did. And he felt that at that time he was unable to take the children due to him, I believe, living in a one-bedroom home at that time. And he felt that the children would be better served living with their maternal great-grandparents.
Okay. What did he state about Kylie's history of drug use?
He said that Kylie has used marijuana and cocaine in the past, to his knowledge.
Okay. Did he explain why they were no longer together?
I believe he stated that Kylie often took advantage of him both mentally and emotionally,
Okay.
and they were arguing a lot.
Okay. On September 12th, 2022, did you again attempt to contact Kylie Tipton?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did she return your call?
Yes, I believe that she did. She said that she had she had a lot going on, and that she had recently lost a friend to a brain tumor, and was in contact with social services legal aid in order to aid her with her eviction.
And were arrangements made to meet with Ms. Tipton for the next day, September 13th?
Yes, ma'am. She said that she could meet me at 11:30 the following day.
Okay. Did that meeting happen?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Now, in that meeting, what did Ms. Tipton discuss as far as wanting to talk to an attorney? Strike that, Your Honor. That was a bad question. Lucas, was it your understanding at this point that she had been evicted from the home that Ms. McFarland was managing?
Yes, it was under my understanding that she was being evicted or had been evicted from the home that Ms. McFarland was managing.
Okay. And was Kylie saying she was still going to fight that eviction in some way?
Yes, ma'am. She said that she wanted to go to her lawyer's office this afternoon to discuss an appeal for that eviction.
Okay. What was Kylie's explanation for the condition of the home with the feces and the alcohol bottles?
She stated that the feces allegedly that was in the downstairs bathroom was mud from the cat, and she said that he has pooped in the bathroom before, but they've always cleaned it up. She stated that the trash and alcohol bottles were in the home due to Mr. King having friends over to the home, and that they had not cleaned up after themselves.
And when you confronted Kylie Tipton about Addison's statements about not eating, what did Kylie say in response?
She mentioned that Addison was, I believe it was traumatic and exaggerates a lot, and that if Addison is unable to eat the food that she wants to eat, that she'll become adamant and stubborn.
Okay. Now, did you ask her to drug screen for the department?
I did ask her to drug screen for the department.
And did she comply?
No, not for the department. No.
Okay. Did she deny drug use as well?
Yes, ma'am. She denied any current or past drug use and stated that she has never used marijuana or cocaine in her life.
And what about alcohol use?
She said that she does drink, but she'll drink every weekend when the children are not present in the home.
Okay. Now, with Miss Tipton refusing to drug screen to rule out the dangers of drug use by the caretaker of the children, did the department consider her to be non-cooperative?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And based on that, did the department evaluate the case for removing the children?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
What reasonable efforts did the department make to avoid removal?
We made efforts to discuss with Ms. Tipton about the living condition of the home. She previously would not allow myself into the home to see the condition. It was only until after the home had been cleaned up did she allow me into the home. She also, we asked her to drug screen to determine or rule out if in fact she was using any type of illegal substances. So we also asked Mr. Lewis at the time, who we thought was the father to all three children, to take the children, but he was unwilling or unable to do so at that time.
Okay. And during your investigation, did you review the pictures by Haley McFarland that she took of the home on August 28th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So you were aware of the conditions of the home at that day?
Yes, ma'am, I was aware of the conditions of the home.
Okay. Did the department, or rather, how did the department feel about the safety of that environment for 3 young children, 2 of which were possibly autistic?
We were very concerned due to the potential hazards in the home, including the open beer bottles that still had alcohol in it, as well as the feces throughout the home. We felt that it was a concern for the health and well-being of all 3 children.
Okay. And did the department have serious reservations about Ms. Tipton's ability to provide the children with a safe home physically and emotionally?
Yes, ma'am, we did have those concerns of Ms. Tipton.
Okay. Now, at the time of the removal, do you recall where Ms. Tipton was living?
I'm not sure. I believe they were still in the home at the time of the removal, but I do not remember specifically where she was at immediately after being evicted and the writ of possession being enforced.
Okay. Ask the witness.
Anything further of this witness?
Not of this witness, Your Honor. We ask that he be released. At this time, the department requests that the court take judicial notice of the nunc-pro-tunc order adjudicating parentage as to Addison.
So noted.
We also ask for judicial notice of the nunc-pro-tunc order of non-parentage as to Aiden and Ashton.
So noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And the department calls Cayenne Williams as its witness. Where are they currently placed?
They're with their great-grandparents, Deborah and James Tipton, here in Amarillo.
Okay. Now, did you create service plans for both Kylie Tipton and Benjamin Lewis?
Yes.
And Benjamin Lewis was subsequently terminated in an interlocutory order. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. With the service plan that you created for Ms. Tipton, was it the department's reasonable efforts to return the children to the home?
Yes.
Did it aim to mitigate the reasons for removal?
Yes.
Was it uniquely tailored for the issues in the case?
Yes.
Can you please identify 2 or 3 services that were uniquely picked for Ms. Lewis based on the issues at removal?
Parenting classes tailored to the ages of her children, individual counseling, and random drug testing.
Okay. Now, was that family plan made in order of the court at the status hearing?
Yes.
Your Honor, the department offers petitioner's exhibit number 16, the status hearing order. Now, Cayenne, could you please very briefly go through each service in that service plan and identify whether or not it was completed?
Yes, ma'am. You can pull it up. So our first service was to locate and maintain appropriate employment. As far as I'm aware, she has not done that. Locate and maintain stable housing. She currently lives in a 5th wheel, which is stable housing for her, but would not accommodate 3 children.
Could you please explain briefly what a 5th wheel is?
It's a camper of like a travel trailer.
And how many people does that typically fit?
I would say 4 comfortably. And as far as I'm aware, she's living there with another adult. I don't know if it's a boyfriend or a fiance or friend. And then her 3 children would add 3 more people that probably would not fit comfortably.
Okay, if you would please continue with the service plan.
The next one is individual therapy. She completed 2 therapy sessions with Giselle Caballero at Family Support Services. She stated sometime after that she completed the rest of them through a teletherapist, but I have no name, company, completion, proof of completion for that. So as far as I'm aware, she did not complete that. The next one is the drug screens. She agrees to maintain a drugs-free lifestyle and submit to random drug testing. The last random drug test that she submitted for me was on September 30th, 2022. So I wouldn't consider that completed. It was positive. I don't have any negative drug tests.
Your Honor, at this time, the department offers petitioner's exhibit number 17. It is the drug screen of Kylie Tipton from September 30th of 2022, accompanied by a business records affidavit.
All right, objections?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner 17 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Cayenne, what drugs did she test positive for in that September 2022 drug test?
Cocaine. And I believe it was methamphetamines and marijuana.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah, methamphetamines and cocaine. No marijuana on this one. I apologize.
Can you give us the dates that she was requested or court ordered to drug screen and whether or not she complied?
Yes, ma'am. Those dates were 11/7/22, 1/6/23, 3/6/23, and 6/26/23. And she did not complete any of those.
Now, what did she state when requested to drug screen on March 15th of 2023?
She stated that she has a religious exemption from hair follicle drug tests.
Did she ever explain that response?
No, ma'am.
What did she state on April 12th of 2023 when you requested her to drug screen?
She said that she'd be obtaining her own urinalysis drug test every 2 weeks from a private company.
Okay. So the only time that Ms. Tipton drug screened was in September of 2022, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
For the department, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. What is the next service, please?
The next one was her OSAR evaluation that did not get completed. I don't remember off the top of my head if Linda Dudley was ever able to get a hold of Kylie, but it wasn't completed or rescheduled. If she was. The next one was alcohol awareness classes, which would usually be referred to from the OSAR assessment. And I made her aware that she could also do them on her own, find her own AA classes, and I have no proof of completion for those. The next one was the parenting classes on the family plan. I gave her 4 different organizations to contact and set those up with. No proof of completion from anyone. She stated that she did her own parenting classes and she had the certificates, but the ones that I received were not compliant with her family plan.
Can you explain what it was that she sent to you?
They were like 1 to 2 hour courses over parenting children with autism. And I believe there were 2 or 3 of them, but they were not entire parenting class courses that we needed for her family plan.
Okay. Now going back to that OSAR assessment, is that a substance abuse assessment?
Yes.
And was the purpose of that assessment for a professional to determine what the best course of treatment for Ms. Tipton would be?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that was incomplete. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and continue, please.
That was her last service.
Okay. In your opinion, has Ms. Tipton shown that she is leading a drug-free lifestyle?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What is the long-term plan for the children of the department?
Placement with like PMC with PCA for all 3 children.
Could you explain that in abbreviation terms?
So PMC, permanent managing conservatorship, and then PCA is I just completely forgot what it's called. Just 1 second, I will find it.
Care assistance?
Yes, permanency care assistance through kinship is what I understand. It is the same. The PCA, permanency care assistance, would be the same monthly payments that you would get through subsidy with adoption, and they would have permanent managing conservatorship instead of adopting the children.
Now, Ms. Williams, you understand that the grandparents are not parties to this suit today, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are we asking the court today to terminate Ms. Tipton's parental rights?
Yes.
As well as the rights of the unknown father?
Yes.
Are we asking the court to name the department primary managing conservator?
Yes.
And is the long-term plan for once the grandparents have completed that approval process to get those funds at that point in the future to give the grandparents primary conservatorship of the children?
Yes.
Can you please explain, let me see. Can you please explain why it's in the best interest of all three children for Kylie Tipton's parental rights to be terminated?
Riley has made no efforts or attempts to see her children since November 17th of 22, I believe. She has made no attempts to prove that she's living a drug-free lifestyle, no attempts to maintain appropriate housing for three children, appropriate employment to take care of three children. She makes very little contact with the department. I have no proof of completion of any of her services or that she's made any progress in general since the children were removed.
Is Kylie Tipton able to take care of the children's emotional and physical needs now and in the future?
I would say no.
Does her drug use and alcohol use and unstable lifestyle, as well as by her own testimony, mental health issues, did those weigh against placing the children back with her?
Yes.
Did they also create a situation where the children would be in emotional and physical danger if returned to her?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that Miss Tipton had not seen the children since November. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was her explanation at that time, if you recall?
She overall just had a hard time getting herself to the visits. She did not accept any help of transportation from St. Francis. And then when her visits were suspended, she stated that she just didn't like going to visits because she didn't like leaving at the end.
Okay. Do you believe that that is the response of a healthy parent to say that she didn't want to visit her children because it was hard on her?
No.
Do you believe that Kylie Tipton has the parental abilities to provide these children with a safe and stable environment?
No.
Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Pirtle,
I have no questions, Judge.
Mr. Barfield,
No questions.
Mr. Ingram.
Diane, with regard to the unknown father, was there a paternity registry search done?
Yes, I believe so.
And were those certificates filed with the court?
I am not sure.
Your Honor, I asked the court to take judicial notice of the paternity registry certificates that are on file with the court. Thank you, Pat Witness.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Mr. Williams? All right, Ms. Williams, was the plan of service for mother that she did not work, was that a reasonable effort on the part of the department to return the children to her?
Yes.
And I believe you've testified to this, but she is not regularly visited or maintained significant contact with the children during this case.
No, she is not.
Would you say that then that she has demonstrated an inability to provide the children with a safe environment?
Yes.
And basically it amounted to a constructive abandonment of the children?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, any other witnesses?
And no, Your Honor, the department rests.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pirtle, do you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge. Rest.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barfield.
No, Your Honor, I just state that the unknown fathers remain unknown at this time.
Okay. All right, then, if everyone rests, then Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Your Honor, I believe to be in the children's best interest that the mother, Kylie Tipton's parental rights be terminated. I also believe it to be in Aiden and Ashton's best interest that the rights of the unknown father be terminated based on paternity registry search. The department be named as permanent managing conservator and placement with the maternal great grandparents to continue. The children doing well in placement.
Okay, thank you. All right. CASA, recommendations?
Yes, I would say that in visiting with Debbie, the great grandmother, that she is in agreement that her rights should be terminated because of these same things that have been talked about. The children seem to be doing very well in the home that they're in right now. They're getting to school every day on time. They're fed well. The home is clean and they just are loved there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
Your Honor, also just to add further to our recommendations, we are also in agreement that the department be named permanent managing conservator at this time until the placement can be given approval for that PCA, and then that they be named PMC if that's the process that needs to be taken place for them to receive that assistance.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Does counsel want to stay in this case or be dismissed?
Your Honor, I believe I can speak for both myself and Jan. We believe that the children are placed in a very good placement and that there's a current plan for them to reach permanency. So we'll leave it up to you, Your Honor, as always. We'll be happy to stay on if you'd like us to stay on to complete the case. Or we are also happy to go forth and serve other children.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I think probably from what I've heard, that would be better. Your services are better used on another case. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, then based on the evidence I've heard today and the exhibits that have been admitted, first of all, I will order that the interlocutory termination of Benjamin Lewis as to the child Addis be made a final order today. I further find that it's in the best interest of the children rights of the mother, Kylie Tipton, be terminated. I'll terminate those rights today based on Texas Family Code Section 161.001, subsections B, 1D, E, N as in Nancy, and O. I further find that it's in the best interest of the two children, unknown father's parental rights to be terminated. I'll terminate those rights today based on the paternity registry searches that are on file in this case, as well as Texas Family Code Section 161.002 B2. I will name the department permanent managing conservator, continue all the children's current placements. The Randall County Domestic Relations Office will be continued in this case. All other court-appointed relationships will be dismissed after all appellate and de novo periods have expired. Mr. Pirtle, if you'd let Ms. Christie know if she talks to Ms. Tipton to explain to Ms. Tipton her rights to a de novo or an appeal.
Yes, sir.
All right, then I will set the first placement review after hearing on November 6th, 2023. Otherwise, we'll stand in recess. Y'all have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.